Alrighty, welcome to episode 188 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. Unusually, it's actually been a pretty quiet week. However, in local news, Western Australia's WAV network has further progressed with Horizon Power's 50 kilowatt off-grid tritium fast DC charger site at Manila now commissioned and unofficially open to all EVs to use. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was. And just to highlight the Manila site, it's unofficially open. The only way you can actually use it at the moment is by using a ChargeFox RFID card, or should I say an RFID card linked to your ChargeFox account. But hopefully in the coming days or short period of time, it will eventually get put on the ChargeFox app. Although, mind you, I would still recommend you use a ChargeFox card because there won't be very good mobile coverage there whatsoever, because it's about a dozen, no, maybe it's 8 kilometers north of the Manila Roadhouse. Alrighty, if there is anyone who is new and comfortable in doing so, please unmute and say hello. Or perhaps we'll do that a little bit later on.
I'd like to know who Greta Thunberg was. I saw someone's name come up and it was Greta Thunberg, and I went, oh, honoured.
Yes, obviously some people have imaginative names for their Zoom handles.
All right, okay.
I dare say Greta wasn't actually joining us, but she's certainly more than welcome to do so.
Yeah.
Given the difference in time zone, it would probably be about lunchtime for her, so it would be ideal to join us.
Clearly, we thought it might be a special guest you had for us there.
Yeah, I was getting excited.
If I did, I would have spruiked it. Trust me, in the email. The only special guest that we have that joins us regularly is Elon Musk, but he does that in stealth mode. But he's listening. Alrighty, have we got any opening questions or comments?
Harold, I think you've missed the biggest news. If you watch the biggest Tesla news, if you watch the legacy media, it was everywhere. You couldn't miss it. That apparently Berlin has lost 65,000 mugs. That's been everywhere. That's been
Yes.
I saw that.
I think Elon Musk actually said that they've been mugged. Yes,
but,
and would go, Pete.
No, you go.
I was going to say, and would you believe, apparently on a pro rata basis, every single employee at Berlin would probably on average have about 5 mugs. So I think they're a bit reticent to order more mugs.
One more to go.
So please, all of you Berliners, stop mugging Tesla. But yes, you're very, very right there, Pete. That was pretty big news. Tesla gets mugged in Berlin.
I hope we've got a handle on it by now.
Oh.
All right.
They should just have a cup of tea and carry on. But I guess you got to find a mug to put it in.
Oh, God.
We're all mugs in this joint. All right, have we got any other
Yeah.
questions or comments? Actually, there is a bit of news. Look, there's been a lot of negativity around Tesla's commitment to superchargers, well, worldwide for that matter, but in Australia in particular, and really, as far as we're concerned, in Western Australia. So I can definitely, without confirming any locations, which I'm not permitted to do, I can absolutely confirm that Tesla Australia is committed to installing superchargers in Western Australia, and over the next 18 months there's going to be some pretty good locations that Tesla is going to roll out. And like I said, obviously we're not going to get into the questions of where that might be or where that might not be, but rest assured Tesla is committed to rolling out superchargers, and in particular committed to rolling out quite a few superchargers in Western Australia. So I think that's really important for everyone to realize, especially if you are new to Tesla and you're a bit concerned about road trips and all that sort of stuff. Tesla Australia is absolutely committed to rolling out more and more superchargers.
And if you read the history, when I got my first Tesla, there was only the single supercharger, which had the pleasure of being the most loneliest supercharger in the world. Then it got taken over by Uzbekistan.
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan, sorry.
It's the other stand. Yep.
And
Yeah, that's the
yeah, but then we got it back. But now we've got 8 superchargers in WA, and it's been less than 5 years. So, you know, more than one a year. But yeah, in the last few years, it's been a lot more than obviously one a year. So at one stage, Elon Musk did say that, you know, when the growth in volumes of cars was about 50% per annum, that superchargers would need to grow at least at that pace, if not faster. And yeah, we're starting to get there in WA. So
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, you know, there was a lot of ruction with Tesla head office in California, well, Texas, basically laying off the vast majority of the worldwide supercharger team. But like I said, Tesla in Australia are absolutely committed, and it's appropriate that we all know and realize that they are committed, and there will be some very good things happening over the next 18 months. So let's just sit back and get some popcorn and just enjoy the view of the extra pins coming on in the next 18 months.
So Mandurah actually might get the supercharger
Sorry?
in the end. Mandurah might actually get
look,
the supercharger in the
Alex,
end.
like I said, I'm not. We can roll off all the towns and suburbs and
Well, he needs
whatever,
it.
and my lips are sealed. But we'll find out what happens over the next. Like I said, we've only got 18 months to wait. So by the end of 2025, there's going to be some nice sites being rolled out. Alrighty, have we got any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Just one.
Oh,
sorry.
yes,
After
Penny.
you, Penny.
Go, Penny.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on a new computer, new whatever. I finally have my Tesla. Yay.
Oh, sorry, which one did you get? Model 3, Model Y?
Why?
Very good. Good choice. Very good choice.
I have got a comment to make. Well, please explain, I suppose. When I took my test drives, I could always see the grey of the other cars on the road and pedestrians and whatever. And when I got the Tesla, it didn't do it. So I thought, oh, perhaps, I thought that was a bit strange. Anyhow, I was driving down the freeway on the weekend and all of a sudden it came on. And has been on ever since. Can anyone explain that?
the calibration of the cameras, Penny. So when the car, so you obviously had a brand new car, and it takes anywhere from 5 to 15 to 20 kilometers for the video cameras to self-calibrate. And yeah, once they're calibrated, then yeah, all your other vehicles on the road, your rubbish bins, your witches, stop signs, your traffic lights all spring back into action.
Thank you for the explanation. I was wondering whether I had hit a button somewhere or other, but I couldn't work it out because all of a sudden it just came on. Now I know. Thank you.
Would have probably seen, or you might not recall, but there is a small progress circle when you first get your car, and it's sort of like a tiny slither of blue, and it slowly wraps around the clock. I think it starts at 12 o'clock, goes clockwise, and once that circle is closed, well, it then disappears, and then the car is basically, the cameras are calibrated, and then you can use things like traffic aware cruise control and autopilot, which I think usually on the new cars you have to actually enable while you're in park. So you may just want to do that. Go to the menu button, which is in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. It's in the shape of a car.
Yeah,
And then go into Autopilot and just make sure that you enable those two functions, which is traffic aware cruise control and Autopilot. You obviously don't need to feel pressure to use it anytime soon, but once you're comfortable with exploring the car in a bit more detail, you can then certainly give that a go. And in your Model Y, to enable cruise control, you just do a single tap of your right-hand stalk, which is normally your gear shifter stalk. And then if you want to enable Autopilot, you do a double tap downwards.
Okay. Yes, I must admit, having the indicators on the wrong side of the steering wheel, I've managed to do that a couple of times with a few, but I haven't actually tried it yet. Oh, thank you for that. And
Yeah, look,
Not
if I was
often,
if I was
yeah.
King of Australia, I would have mandated in the Australian design rules that indicator stalks should follow the window, the driver's window. It should be on the correct
Yeah.
side, which is for us the right side, and in
Yeah.
Europe it's the left side.
yeah,
And that would have been perfect, but it is quite frustrating and confusing when you go between a European / US car
yes.
and a, say, Australian / well, Japanese and, say, Korean car, which has the indicators on the correct side.
Yeah. And
But
the other, I mean, I'm loving driving it. I'm really glad I've made the move. The only negative, in inverted commas, is I'm not particularly tall, so I have the seat far forward, and then when you want to put the sun visor around to the side, as opposed to just bringing it down, it hits the seat and you can't use it on the side.
oh, gee, I've never really put my seat that far forward to
No,
notice
because
that.
I've got
But
short legs and I can't use the sun visor.
Wow.
Penny, have you put the seat down a bit lower? Because it can actually go back, forward, up, down, line, decline, and then you've got your backrest and your lumbar as well.
I could try that, but again, when you're short, you want to be up high so that you can sort of see over.
So where does it make contact with the seat?
And therefore it hits, you can't, yeah, but I'll try that going down, I must say. Yeah.
so James, I think was asking Penny about.
Yeah, where does it make, so when you're bringing it across, the seat headrest, that's what's happening.
Yeah. It's hitting the headrest, or me. But no, I think it's the headrest. Because
when you break it off, you know, so it's in the down position, you kind of break it off from the thing. Can you not tilt it up, move it across, and tilt it down?
no, I tried that.
All right.
No. I must
Paul, you're in the car. Can you please try and are you in the Model Y?
Yeah,
No, you're in the
that's-
3. You're in the 3.
Demonstrate. No, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
If you try and
Because you
get
just
your
click
car fully
And then
forward,
just
get your
drag it
seat fully
across
forward,
and then drag it down.
Yeah, but try and do that
Yeah.
with your seat fully forward and crushing your legs without screaming too much.
I'm doing that now.
Very good.
And
I
Paul's
think
head's
this
probably
is
very
about- oh,
large.
Jesus, that's about it.
Penny, one thing you could
fat
try
head.
is just slightly recline the back of the seat a
Click
little
it,
bit.
click up
Ah,
horizontal. You know how it's. You click it across because since it's magnetic, you can just click it across and then bring it down, and then bring it down.
Yeah, so maybe Penny, try it fully horizontal at the start, so it's parallel with the roof, and then
yeah, I know what you mean. I did try that because that was what I thought would be the answer to it. But it's still
hitting your head.
It's still hitting the back of the headrest.
That's really
hitting the back of the seat in the headrest.
Yeah. Is it hitting by much? Is it like an inch overlap,
Yes,
or
it's
is
a
it?
fair amount, and I must admit I haven't retry because I like the seat where it is, but I must admit I haven't thought about bringing the seat down a bit, and I'll try the reclining the back a bit.
Just a little bit, because you don't really, generally most people don't, their head doesn't actually touch the headrest, and really most of your back doesn't touch most of the back of the seat. So maybe if you just
So
lean it back a
my
little
head
bit.
does touch the back, it does touch the headrest.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, yeah, just try, see if you can find a happy compromise where
Yeah.
the visor will fit, but you're still in a comfortable seating position, and
Mm.
just see how that works.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the suggestion, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
No worries. And look, and please feel free to ask any other questions, because the whole point of this show is to ask us anything, and it's really important for people that have just gotten their cars to ask any questions whatsoever. What do I have to do to charge at home? What do I need on a road trip? Anything. Like, for example, one good thing that all new owners should do is download and install an app called PlugShare
Yes, I've done that.
on their phones. Fantastic. And you set the filters. I think actually if you define what car you've got, it'll generally set the filters for you. So the filter you should definitely have on is CCS, which is the fast DC chargers. They are the pins that appear in orange. And then you should also have type 2. So I'll just bring up.
And your Tesla superchargers.
They're not, I don't think they're not differentiated anymore, Pete. It's just CCS, unfortunately. So when you look, it's CCS and type 2. So it's not even Tesla destination chargers anymore, unfortunately, frustratingly. But actually, Penny, and for anyone else that's new, all of the Tesla destination chargers, which are basically wall connectors that charge slowly, they are in the touchscreen of your car. So when you press the lightning icon in the upper left corner of your maps, you'll see there's like it's like a lightning bolt, and that'll show the charger locations, and it will show superchargers and Tesla destination chargers. It'll also show some non-Tesla fast DC chargers, but not many.
Okay.
But yeah, so in PlugShare you should have CCS/SAE selected and type 2. You just got to be aware when you look at a type 2 location. So if I pick, say, for example, this one here, Billabong. Oh, actually, Billabong Homestead does actually have a Tesla destination charger. So it says here Tesla destination. Means you don't need to bring a cable. But if you look, for example, let's see, in Dongara. Sorry, a little bit slow. Dongara. This is also a type 2. However, when we see the type, it's a type 2 and it's from Explorin. This actually needs a cable. So what you need there is a type 2 cable, which you can get from Tesla. It's a 7.5 meter cable, and you can just order it actually using your Tesla app, and that is $310, and that's a bona fide high quality type 2 to type 2 cable. So yeah, definitely get PlugShare. Obviously get the ChargeFox app, because a lot of chargers in Western Australia and in other parts of Australia for that matter are serviced by ChargeFox as the billing provider. And also a good pro tip is to either order an RFID card from ChargeFox, which is the easiest thing to do. It costs $10. They'll send it to you in the mail. Or you can use any standard MyFair card, as long as you know its hexadecimal serial number. And then you can actually enroll that. I think it's through your through your ChargeFox app. You can actually add that to your profile and use that as the token. So that's very handy, particularly when you're in locations where you've got either poor or no mobile coverage or internet, well, mobile coverage to provide internet for the app. So that's another good pro tip for new users.
Thank you.
Penny, another thing that may be useful is an article on our website, on the Topwell website. If you just Google what to expect when you're expecting a Tesla, and Tocwa, which is TOCWA.
I've been on the website a few times.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, that article will highlight pretty much all the apps for different charge networks that we have in WA. And it will also run through different ways to set up your car if you've just got it from the dealership. And there's a few other things. There's a lot of the ABCs of EV ownership, such as always be charging, adjust battery consumption, always be courteous is another one. There's a whole list of them. Then there's a few other bits and pieces, charging etiquette and a few other bits and pieces.
Thank you.
Cool. John, you've got your hand up patiently.
Yeah, just a comment. I think it's a comment regarding I had a downloader. I think I actually asked a question about 4 or 5 weeks ago when traffic aware cruise control disappeared. It seemed to disappear after a download. I think it was 12.9. And it disappeared for a couple of days and then reappeared. And my analysis, I guess, was that though I'd been out, it seems as if it needed to recalibrate the cameras. Well, my guess was it possibly needed to recalibrate the cameras after that download. I'd been out a couple of times, but only at night, and because I'm in the country, there's no clear line markings on the roads that I drive. So
actually, no,
I wondered whether
you've nailed it. You've nailed it, John. So if there are no center line markings on the road, so it's an unmarked road, Tesla will not offer traffic aware cruise control or autopilot ever. So as a bare minimum, a road, regardless of where it is, needs to have clear, or at least fairly clear, center line markings at a minimum. Having edge markings is nice, but if there are no central dashed lines or solid lines, it will not offer traffic aware cruise control or autopilot.
Yeah, I think I remember you've said that before, but
Sorry, it might actually offer cruise control. I haven't done that experiment for a little while. I think you can do cruise control on dirt roads.
You can. Exactly. Before that download, cruise control had been available on fairly unmarked but fairly defined roads. That's what I observed, was the fact that roads that I'd had before used cruise control on no longer had it for a short period of time, until I went on a highway and got some line markings, and then it seemed. The question is really, after a download, do the cameras need to be recalibrated?
Generally, no. So exceedingly rare. It's not that it's impossible. The other thing that might have happened is, because of that poor visibility, you might have gotten a notification that said cameras degraded or functionality degraded due to poor visibility.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's poor visibility, it's just that the computer is interpreting the bland sort of surrounds, that sort of somewhat featureless, which you can get in many places in the country where you're surrounded by wheat farms or whatever. And especially at twilight, when there's sort of a little bit of light, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Then the car can sort of decide that it's not happy with one or other of the cameras and sort of sin bins itself until it's more confident that things are going okay. But yeah, actually, I think second guessing myself, I think you can do traffic aware cruise control when it's unmarked roads, but look, I'm happy to be corrected. Actually, sorry, Trev and Matt, I don't know who put their hands up first. So I'm going to go to the left, which is Trev, and then straight to Matt.
Yeah, hey, Harold. I got a couple of quick ones. First one is that today we had Western Power come out and change our power meter to the newest style. And a couple of weeks ago, we applied to get a time of use plan. So the guy thinks that that'll be changing in the next couple of days. My question was that when I go into the app on the charging stats page, I tried to just put a false number in there just to see how you edit it, and it seems to backtrack everything that we've done so far. Is that the way, or does it, after a moment, does it log the old expenditure and moves forward? But like, there's the estimation of how much you would have paid, and as soon as I changed it by a couple of cents, it jumped up. So I'm not sure if it's going to average it forever.
Yeah, I think it's not that smart. I think it basically just works on the parameters that you feed it and presumes that that was always the case. It sort of doesn't draw a line and say from now on it's a different price. Unfortunately, you'll be saddled with whatever you enter in. It'll presume it was like that forever. Backwards and
Yeah.
forwards.
I wasn't sure if it was something they didn't put a lot of effort into, and maybe it was just going to be as simple as that. We just have to pick something that works. So
And it goes without saying, do make sure you don't use much power between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. because you're going to get
we'll actually never need to use it in that point because of the hours that I work. It'll always be first thing in the morning or really early in the morning.
Cool. Awesome.
Just a quick second question. It seems to be the week for cameras. Autopilot, how good is the system at keeping the car in the middle around corners? Is it just my car that drifts out and hits the rumble strip all the time, or is that a camera calibration issue? But I have to keep turning it off on the forest highway because when I get overtaken around a bend, the car keeps wandering to the outside, and then the other car panics and runs to the outside, and I panic and turn it off.
It's more of a, you'll notice you actually slow down, say, in the center of the lane. Yeah, it's just a little bit, out here in Australia is just a little bit slow.
You're a little bit, you got crappy. We can't hear you very well. I don't know. Try that again. I don't know whether you've got automatic noise cancelling or something, but you're sort of a bit jittery there, Pete. Try that again.
I was just suggesting that it could be an fast you're driving. So not necessarily speeding, but is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's not fantastic.
Just try slowing down and see if that.
Sorry, we didn't get that, Pete. Try that again. Or type it in the chat because we just didn't get your gist.
Maybe just try slowing
down. Did you say? Yeah. Look, one thing, the forest highway is very well marked. I've been down it. I went to Bunbury. Well, that is a forest highway, so that's the whole lot. And I was in the left lane mostly, and my car never did that, Trev. So
yeah, so I get it. I drive the forest highway 3 to 4 times a week, and the wider the bend, the better the car holds on. But if any of the tighter bends, which is still not really very tight on the forest highway, the car will get, say, 300 millimeters off the white line on the outside, and I'll have over a meter on the left. And if I look at the screen, it actually draws it up exactly the way that it is, so it knows where it is. But a couple of days ago, I was driving between Pinjarra and Dwellingup, which is pretty tight, windy stuff, but I think I had cruise control set at 80 kilometers, and I was clipping the edges on both sides, and I had to turn it off.
So I do know on rural roads that don't have that are a bit narrower and don't have a left hand white line, and it
Oh,
just
this had lines on both sides, and the
Oh,
car was
okay.
drawing the tires driving over the lines. I
My
thought
car,
maybe camera calibration, but I
you could
haven't
try
done
it,
it,
but
and I thought it
you
may
could,
not.
yeah, you could try that because if you go down, for example, the Forest Highway, it'll calibrate quite quickly. It'll only take
Yeah,
about, not even 10 minutes to
yeah.
calibrate. Look, it's worth a try. I
I
have
thought the
noticed,
fact that the car's drawing exactly what's happening is maybe not a camera issue, but I thought
yeah,
surely the fact that the same system is used for full self-drive, then surely they couldn't have it something that allows you to go all the way out and hit the rumble strip.
yeah. Look, I've had my car do some things like that. I've had it actually go onto the verge or onto the shoulder of the road, but that's
Yeah,
when it's not marked with a white line.
yeah,
And that's perfectly okay on a left-hand bend. It's not okay on a right-hand bend
yeah,
because because of the physics of what's going on.
yeah.
Look, you could try a calibration. Has your car always done this, or is it just
Yeah,
maybe?
so I've done, I think we're up to 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers in the past 3 weeks, and I've probably done 3,000 kilometers on cruise control, and it's done it the whole time. It's never been better or worse.
Have you had any software updates?
One, I can't remember what the last one was. About 2 weeks ago, there was a software update. That's the only one, and it was doing it. I don't remember it so strongly before, but it took me a while to figure out the double press for the autopilot. I was doing double clicks, and they weren't slow enough that it was detecting it. So we didn't have a lot of time there. But yeah, definitely lately, I'm 90% of the time using cruise control, and it's continuous.
So what software have you got version 2024.20.7?
I think so. I'm
You can
just
see on
checking it
that
right
map
now.
right at the bottom.
Yeah, it is 2024 20.3.
Oh, okay. There is a .7. So, look, and I think everyone in the room probably has a similar experience. The behavior can sometimes change slightly according to which software update you end up getting.
Yep.
Like, for example, there was a time, when a Tesla would absolutely stay in the center of the lane, almost regardless of what was going on around it. Then there was a time, I don't know, time flies, but maybe it was 18 months ago, where it would actively move away from trucks that were slowly passing you, whether it's on the left or the right hand side. And it
Yep.
would sort of like distinctly move across in its lane to give the truck more room, which in my opinion was a bit, well, I wasn't that happy that it was doing it because it just felt a bit weird. And I've actually noticed on the latest software, which is 20.7, that I've noticed my car returning to some of that behavior. So it sort of went away for a while and it sort of
Yep.
normalized and now it's crept back in. So I don't know whether Tesla is sort of experimenting with different tuning of the system. Definitely on very windy roads, it can sometimes cut corners. It'll either cut a left-hand corner or it will go wide on a right-hand bend. But on the forest highway, it really shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, some of the
Not on a
time
marked road.
very wide, and yet a car will be approaching on the right hand side, and I can see them head off and they hit the rumble strip first, and I'm thinking, oh, I better turn it off, and so then I move over back to the left again, and yeah, so I pick the corners now. Sometimes I have to kick it out before it even happens.
Look, I don't, on the forest highway, I don't think that's appropriate behavior, and it's not what anyone else is experiencing. So it could be worth raising it with Tesla
Yeah,
and
I mean, don't
describe.
get me, forest highway, it's never hit a white line on the forest highway, but it gets within 300 mil and gives me a meter, maybe 1200 on the left, 1.5.
Yep.
But
Yep.
in a 70 zone where I'm going through tighter stuff, it has hit the rumble strips, and I've had to hold on to it. But I would have thought when you've got a comfortable meter either side on forest highway, like 300 mil, 200 mil maybe is starting to get pretty
Yeah.
tight.
Yep. Look, It could be worth raising it I mean, just in case there's a camera alignment issue.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know to what extent the cameras actually calibrate how far the calibration goes. It's just a tiny actually, the other thing it could do too is go into service mode. So to do that, you press and hold the name of your car, well, the model name. So if you've got a Model
Yeah.
3 or Y, you press on that word for a few seconds until a little password or code sort of little screen comes up and it says enter code, and you just enter the word service, all lowercase, and that then goes into service mode. In fact, to go further, you have to actually accept that it's going to open up a portal to Tesla, and you say yes, and then you're in service mode, and you can actually get a preview of what all the cameras of the car are seeing. And I think
Okay.
there's a couple of lines which show alignment. And look, I've never seen an unaligned camera, so I don't really know what it looks like, but you might notice something that looks off, and
Yeah.
then you could use it with Tesla. It's a very remote possibility, but it's possible.
Yeah. I might try. I'll wait for one more software update, and then I can try camera calibration. And if neither of those give me any joy, then yeah, I might go down the logging a ticket. But yeah, at this stage, I'm just
And
vigilant.
give them good data, like try and show them that, it's in certain parts of the forest highway. Look, something I know the car can do is if there's an off ramp, what do you call it? When you basically have a ramp going off to the
Mm.
left, that's usually dotted lines.
Yeah.
Sorry, your main lane has dotted lines, and the solid line sort of veers off to the left as it forms this exit lane.
Yeah.
Sometimes the car gets a sniff of that solid bendy line, and for a moment wants to follow it and basically take you out of your lane
Yeah.
into the turn off lane, which can be sometimes a bit annoying. And sometimes it can sort of do that for a little bit and then realize it shouldn't have done that and then sort of go back. But
Mm.
what you're describing is a bit different.
No, this is perfectly smooth, and it's equal going left and right. So it seems to. I just thought potentially that was the way the system handled, and then I started to think, no way you could have FSD running off something like that and having cars bumping into each other around corners.
No,
It's like,
no, absolutely
there's
not. No,
obviously
that's
there's
not
obviously
normal
got to be
or
better,
something.
and
It's
it
not
has the
normal.
ability. It's obviously got the ability. I've gone through some tight corners, and it can swerve to hold a really tight band really well. But
Yep.
I'm just surprised how far it allows it to drift before it grabs that line, and it perfectly follows the corner around, sitting right on the white line. So yeah. Anyway, I'll wait for one more software update and try the camera calibration, and then yeah, I'll let you know if I log a ticket and have to get something.
Yeah, absolutely.
correct.
That'd be great. That'd be awesome. Okay, we'll go to Matt and then to Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Harold. So next year we're going on a family holiday to the UK, and we would love to hire a Tesla. And I know that you recently done the same thing, Harold. So really, my questions are, like, who did you use to rent it? Did they give you like the UMC in the app? And how was it generally?
Okay, I used Sixt, SIXT.
Yep.
It cost me a bomb because I didn't get free Ks. So I think I forget how many thousand miles I did. It was quite a few because I did the whole of the UK and Ireland basically. So I got stung on 50p per kilometer extra, I think it was. No, mile, sorry, 50p per mile, 50 pence.
Yep.
What did they have in I think there was a UMC, which I never used.
Okay. Yep.
And there was a Type 2 cable, which I used once in Wales. Everything else was superchargers or other fast DC chargers through some of the other networks. Look, I paid a bomb for it. It was an expensive hire car, basically. I was a bit nervous to hire a Turo which you can certainly do. I think in hindsight, I mean, that would have been a lot cheaper. There were churros that had unlimited Ks, and in my case, that would have been quite handy because I did a lot of them. And I mean, you can never tell, of course, what you're going to get in a churro because I don't think it lists. It's not like it will list it in the listing what cables or whatever it has. So if you got something like that, you'd want to sort of well, know that you're not going to have a cable, so just use fast DC chargers, of which in the UK, sorry, in England, are ubiquitous, and Wales. In parts of Scotland, less so. So, for example, I didn't go to the Isle of Skye because all of the chargers were broken, pretty much, the fast DC ones.
Also, cables, you can contact the host and ask them what cables they provide. With my cars, all 5 of my cars have all the cables listed that are provided with the car. But yeah, you can just, and the advantage is you can, communicate with the host and see what they are like, and obviously go for a host that's had lots of good reviews. That way, they're more likely to be dependable and do what they say. But yeah, one of the advantages is you can have unlimited kilometres. You're going to get the car that you choose. Unlike hire companies, you might get there and they'll give you a RAV4 instead of a Model Y or something. So that can happen. But yeah, I would definitely speak to the host first, and yeah, don't just choose the car, but choose the host as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
With regard to Sixt, I've just booked them because I'm going out there in a few weeks' time, and I've booked them for 10 days, and that gave me 1,200 miles, I think it was, of range. But there was an unlimited mileage option.
Yes, and that was for the shorter trips because mine was literally a month.
Yeah.
There was no ability to give unlimited miles. Unfortunately, I think I only had 2,500 miles, and I think I burnt about 5,000 miles or something like that. So for my extended trip, that was not an option. Oh, now you also asked about app access. Very
Yes.
frustratingly, 0 app access.
Wow.
So all I had was actually what I did was I've actually got a Model 3/Model Y key fob.
Yep.
So it looks like a little toy car, and it's basically a remote control and also RFID. Well, it's Bluetooth. What's the name? And I actually learnt that. So all that Sixt gave me was a card, RFID card, but I used the RFID card to enroll my fob, and that was kind of handy because then I didn't have to faff around with the RFID card and tap it on the door pillar and all that sort of stuff. And also the RFID card was handy because I didn't have app access. It was handy because when you press and hold the boot on the fob, it unlocks or opens the charge port door. Or it also stops the charging session if you're on a DC charger or that's not a supercharger. So that was handy, although they are expensive. In Tesla's shop, they're several $100s. So it's not a cheap item just if you're going to hire a car.
Yeah, that's really disappointing because, like the experience of, even just being able to warm your car up, like in the UK or, or charging and stuff and see the levels. You just didn't have access to any of that.
This another advantage of a car sharing platform like Turo. So I give all my guests access through the app, and that's another thing you can ask the host if that's what you'll get. And I don't see any reason why a guest would not give you access to the app. Although that said, there are some privacy issues. For example, I still can't believe that Tesla allows the guests to see the conversations between you and the service center. So they didn't see that, but they can. But so that might be a reservation that they have. But you know, I let all my guests have access, with the app, and you can also ask to have the car delivered. Whether they'll agree to deliver it or whether they'll do it for free or charge you, that's, you know, a matter between you and the host. But you know, I do deliveries to the airport quite frequently, and if they don't do the delivery, I'm sure you'll find a host that will. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I hired one before I got my car, and that, I think that was is it EV or?
EV or E, yeah, in Australia. Yep.
Yeah, in Australia. Okay, but the Truro one, Truro, is it? You're saying that's international? That's everywhere.
It's American based. It's a platform that's international.
It's in Australia, the UK, France, US, obviously, and there's one other country. I'm not sure if it's in New Zealand or not, but yeah. So, but it's definitely in the UK, and I know EV at expanding to the UK. But one thing that may be quite handy is whether you're renting a car through, you know, an Avis or a Hertz, or you're going through a car sharing platform, or however you do it. It might be worthwhile jumping on a website called rentalcover.com. So rentalcover.com. And for less than about $10 a day, it's basically excess insurance. So, you know, if the excess is $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 or whatever it is, they'll pay for that. But there's a whole host of other advantages. So a lot of the smaller items, a lot of the rental companies don't cover. So, you know, if you have a tire puncture, if you have a windscreen crack, if you have wheel scrapes, if you have a small scratch or a dent in the car, if you have interior damage, you know, a lot of them don't cover all that stuff. Most of that, I'm pretty sure rental cover covers. But yeah, one other thing to keep in mind also, with an Avis or a Hertz or what have you, your Visa or your MasterCard provides rental car insurance, but that may not translate to car sharing. So they may say, okay, yeah, cover car rental, but this is car sharing, which is different. We don't cover it. So your travel insurance may not cover it. So.
Okay, no, thank you. Thanks very much. There's just one thing else I was just going to mention about the Autopilot. So I've got the standard Autopilot, and I've never had any of the, you know, phantom braking that people talk about. And I was telling this to a few of the guys. I was telling this to a few of the guys at the go-kart event the other week, just how good it was. I was going along the Leach Highway, you know, towards Fremantle near Myrie there, and there's a area that, you know, there's not much street lights, and the car just suddenly braked, and it didn't brake hard, but it just braked a little bit and probably dropped 5 k's an hour. I just was thinking, you know, what's going on? And then literally, you know, 1 second later, I saw a guy crossing the Leach Highway, all in dark clothes. You know, just could not believe it. It saw it. You know, I did not see that. You know, I did not see that guy. I just thought it was just amazing how it picked this guy crossing the road all in dark clothes at night. Yeah, very, very impressive.
Absolutely. Now I have dug out the invoice for Sixt, and it's, for example, I got 2,175 miles included, but did an excess of 2,854 at a cost of 42p.
Oh man, that
cost me a cool £1,200 extra.
About 2.5 grand.
Yes. Oh no, more than that. Yeah, more than that. Yeah, sorry, no, that's about right. Yes, 2.5 grand extra. So it was a bit of an expensive 28-day rental period, but I did also get the basically no excess protection. So there was virtually no insurance excess, and I also paid for an extra driver so that my wife could also drive the car. But like I said, certainly at £4,600, that was not cheap motoring for a month at all.
Another
And you
advantage-
paid the British government $1,500
yeah, VAT.
GST.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a bill.
Yes.
Another advantage of the car sharing platforms, if you add an additional driver, that's always at no cost. So you don't get charged for, and you can have more than one additional driver. So you could have 2 or 3 if you wish. I had one guest who, there was a family of 5 of them, and everyone wanted to drive the car. So, but yeah, that's all done at no cost. But you just got to make sure that you are actually registered on the platform, or anyone that's driving the car is registered on the platform. Otherwise, they won't be insured, and rental cover won't cover them either if they're not on the rental agreement.
No, thank you very much. Thank you.
No worries. I think, Paul, you had your hand up before, and then straight to James.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Look, I just really wanted to share an amazing product that you may or may not have heard of. The fobs on my garage were just about falling apart, and I was umming and ahhing about whether I replaced them or whatever. And I heard that you can actually set it up so you can open your garage from your phone. Yeah, so I posted it on the chat. It's right at the top of the chat. The product I use is called eCairo. It was a dream to install. You basically plug it or wire it into your existing opener. I think it cost me about $75 on Amazon, and I can recommend it. So essentially now I can just, using Siri, I can just walk out and just say open garage door, close garage door. I'm trying to figure out the automation with the shortcuts in the iPhone. You know how you can set it up so that if you drive within a certain distance from your house, the garage door will automatically open, but I haven't been able to get that working. So yeah, really recommend that. And the other thing is, as part of that, I don't know whether you guys realize, but on the iPhone, there's a whole heap of Tesla shortcuts. So again, you can just say to Siri, unlock the Tesla or lock the Tesla, and it'll do that. So yeah, if you like gadgets like I do, then it was a lot of fun setting it up.
You might just get into trouble if you've got 2, 3, 4, or 5 of them, and you say open the Tesla.
Yeah, although that could be a thing, but that's not going to be an issue for a while, Pete.
Harold's up to about 4 now as well, so.
Not that anyone's flexing, Pete. We're not flexing at all. Alrighty, cool. Thanks, Paul. And James.
I'm in the Tesla, trying to say, I couldn't figure out.
Oh,
You dropped off, James.
Oh, he's gone. Uh-oh. All right, we'll come back.
Waiting all that time.
We'll come back to James when he comes back.
Just a quick one then.
Yes, Mark.
Can you fit me in? Just
Yes.
quick one. Someone the other day was saying they
That's
had
what she said.
Not going there.
Sorry.
A couple of weeks ago, someone said they had a blacked out camera on the door pillar. And you said to reboot the car to try and fix it, etc. And just the other day, I had exactly that same problem. One of the door pillars went black, the driver's side door. And that's it. I thought it'll clear itself when I park up and it'll come back on again. It just didn't. So in the end, I did the usual 2-fingered salute, rebooted the thing, and next time I did it when I got home. When I next got in the car, drove off, it was working again.
Oh,
so
okay.
if anybody else gets that same problem, it seems to be something that just pops up every now and again for certain people. So it's just handy to know just for everyone. If you do get it, try the 2-fingered salute.
Absolutely. And before I go to you, Mike, I'll go back to James. Sorry, James, you dropped out. But you said you're in your car.
Yeah, funnily enough, the car Zoom picked up. I was in the car and switched to car mode. You hear me okay?
Yes,
Yep.
yep.
Kenny, I've managed to move the seat as far forward. I can't fit in the driver's seat anymore. But as you can see, you can't open this because it hits You see
Actually,
that?
let me just spotlight you just for a sec so we can see clearly. There we go.
It over. But if I flip it all the way to the other side, it easily goes over the top of the seat.
Mhm.
Ooh,
Ah,
There you go.
there you
The wrong
go.
way. Yeah.
The wrong way
Otherwise,
is
if you
the right way.
try to do the normal
that's what
one,
you call lateral thinking.
yeah, you can't get it past, and it won't squeeze past.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I can't even fit in this seat. I don't know how small this person is, but that's not. I'm not being funny, but there are smaller people. But yeah, that won't work. That works easily.
There you
Nice.
go. Well
Good
done,
work,
James.
James.
James for
Thank you so much. I will try that.
excellent. There you go. You literally can ask anything on this show. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's
Yeah.
a cogent answer. Sometimes. Alrighty. Thanks, James, and thanks Penny for posing the question in the first place because that's awesome. Mike, you're up next.
Thanks, Harold. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear.
Question about preconditioning. So what is it, and should I be using it, or what's the story there?
Okay, so preconditioning is what happens when if you navigate to a Tesla supercharger and your battery, it's winter or whatever, and your battery's coolish, it will pick an appropriate distance. Let's say you're driving to Lancelin and you're in the centre of Perth and you're driving towards Lancelin. The car will automatically precondition if it needs to heat the battery to approaching 50 degrees Celsius, and it'll pick a time to start this preconditioning so that when it gets to the destination, the supercharger, it'll be at that temperature. So it could be something that if you live in Perth and you navigate to the Karrinyup supercharger, it'll desperately try and do it immediately, but won't succeed. But if it's a further destination or it's a hot summer's day or whatever, it may not precondition at all. Now, there's a lot of talk about one advantage of having non-supercharger, non-Tesla fast DC chargers on Tesla's map is if you navigate to them, and you've got to navigate to the actual pin, not the address. So when you look on your charge, when you press the lightning icon on your map and you see a supercharger icon or some of the WAV network icons, you've got to press on the icon and say navigate to that, the pin, not the address. Now,
so you only need to use it then for superchargers. So my normal home charging or anything like that's fine.
So it never invokes on anything else except for fast DC chargers that it actively knows about. Now, one comment I'll make is I have never arrived at a non-Tesla fast DC charger and had reduced charging speed because the battery was too cold. That's not to say it's not impossible, but when the car preconditions itself, it actually expends a bit of energy to do that. In the modern cars, so all the new Model 3s and Model Ys, they have a heat pump, which is very efficient. So it does that relatively efficiently. But I guess the main point is, unless it's a Tesla supercharger, look, and maybe, an EV 250 kilowatt charger, or no, they don't have 250s, 180 kilowatt charger, perhaps that's got the proper capacity, you might be slightly limited. But the time difference between arriving stone cold at a fast DC charger and nice and warmed up, the actual time difference of your total charging session is probably measured it'd be much less than 5 minutes. So the short answer is it's a fully automatic function, and don't stress out. Look, one pro tip I do is I don't navigate to superchargers. I will just navigate to the address if I'm not quite familiar with how to get there most efficiently, so as to avoid preconditioning. Because in my humble opinion, more often than not, it's really wasting energy,
Yeah.
which you're paying for.
Yeah. So on the Tesla app, so there's actually a little button that sort of says, you know, to turn it on to set climate and preheat battery. So precondition. Do I need to leave that off then?
Yeah, so you can set preconditioning, so you can set time of departure, and it's mainly it's mainly in very cold climates, which we just don't
Okay.
have, well, particularly in WA.
Yeah.
And I mean, one advantage is it'll warm up your cabin, but you can do that very quickly. I mean, the cars these days get to temperature within about 3 minutes, pretty much.
Yeah.
That includes automatic seat warmers and all that sort of stuff if you've got them enabled.
Yeah.
And by the way, to enable it, you just press the icon until it goes grey. Or if you're unsure, just manually put, like, say, the seat heater on.
Yeah.
And press the auto button, and when it sort of, if it's not really cold, if it then disappears, then you know it's correct. Like, it's a bit confusing what's actually in.
And I've used it, and it's brilliant. So I've got the new 24 Highlander and love it. So, but I just wasn't sure about this preconditioning. So I've got a wall charger at home. Everything's working fine, but I was just, I wanted to make sure that I was doing the right thing.
Yes. So the easiest thing to do is do nothing. Simply navigate to the places you're going to, or navigate to the pins or whatever, and the car will decide on itself to precondition or not.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't precondition, it's not a biggie. And perhaps later on, you'll sort of be a bit more militant and go, well, I don't want to pay an extra, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 kilowatt hours that have been consumed in heating the battery. I'd rather that money in my pocket and spend an extra 2 minutes at the supercharger.
Yep.
And, do it that way.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
All righty. All right. Have we got anyone else that's got any questions or comments? I see that Chuck's in town, coming to us from the future. And one little comment I wanted to make was there is the awesome new BP Pulse chargers on the Kwinana Freeway. I think it's still the Kwinana Freeway. Maybe it's the Forest Highway. It's basically between Perth and Mandurah. And unfortunately, a couple of the tritiums are already offline. So that does not portend very well for those charges. But, actually, there was some great news, and that is that the Adelaide River, it's a bit far from WA, but hey, so is Chuck. But the Adelaide River NRMA fast DC charger is online. So that's a great piece of news between Catherine and Darwin. So for anyone doing road trips, you've got an extra fast DC charger, which is handy.
That was one that Hunter was testing, I think, during the week.
Yes.
Hunter Murray.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep. So that's good. And the Mataranka charger is installed. It's not yet powered up or commissioned, or at least it's not yet reported as being powered up and commissioned. I'll just grab that as well, which is just here. So if we look at Australia, it's this spanner right here, and that's it there. Basically two 180 kilowatt dual outlet ABB chargers, although I think they're wasting one nozzle being Chatamo. But at least there are 3 useful nozzles at Mataranka, and that's actually really good because it's basically about 100 k's out of Catherine, and the NRMA is getting there. And the one that Hunter tried was the Adelaide River charger. Actually, no, it wasn't Hunter. It was Outback Tesla.
Richard
Smith.
Richard Smith, yeah.
Just,
oh yeah, Hunter in Alice Springs, yeah.
Yes.
A little bit far away from him.
Yeah. So that's great. So that the NRMA is starting to make progress. Oh, that reminds me, Pete. This is a bit strange. In Joondalup, sorry, it's the Anaconda Butler. Oh no, it's actually, sorry, it's on the ChargeFox app. It wrongly implies it's an NRMA charger, and I just don't think that's true. Just quietly. So
No,
I
it was federal government funded, the one in Butler, but yeah, you're right, it's not an NRMA one. Yeah,
well,
okay.
We actually charged there a few weeks ago. So and yeah, I thought it was an NRME charger because it says it is.
yeah, but it's not, because on PlugShare,
I was surprised.
It did get funding from the federal government, but yeah, it's NRMA.
there's no NRMA livery on it, so I don't get that the NRMA. I think there's an error, just quietly.
Okay.
So
Probably just someone at ChargeFox putting the wrong letter in a field in a database somewhere.
possibly, yes.
Coming up as the wrong thing there. Yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
There was one thing that I found today actually that I don't know if you guys mentioned. I was about 20 minutes late to this stream, but don't know if you have already announced it or not, or found it. I'll just post a link into the chat. It might be one that you know about, Harold, through talking with Tesla, that you perhaps couldn't announce yet. I don't know, but if you go to that link and then jump through to page, where is it? I've lost it now.
I'm just trying to
jump through to page 7 of that PDF.
Page 7. Pages are June council meeting.
That's the one.
Tesla. Okay.
So you might know more about this. You might be able to add to it, or you might be as lost as I am.
Supercharged license agreement, Tesla Motors and the Shire. Yeah, where's it? What's the location though?
It's sort of a bit north of Lansdowne. It's like a long.
What's the town? Do you know?
Well, that's the thing. It doesn't give it a town or an address of any kind. It just says in the Shire. And
Shire of Karoo
stretches from Lehman across to. I had a look, a bunch of places I hadn't heard of. Stretches from Lehman across to Kuro.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to nod and go, that's awesome. We some more digging. That's great. I mean, that's fantastic. Oh, Chuck, how did you? It's amazing how you get around, man. I don't know how you.
I've got a few really specific Google searches saved that I just load up every so often to scroll through, sort by date, all this kind of stuff.
That's fantastic. So the Shire of Kuru, yes, and yes, I'm aware that there is a supercharger going to the Shire of Kuru, in one of their towns.
All right. Well, obviously you can't discuss confidential information, but
at the start of the program, what I did do is I reassured everyone that because we have a quarterly meeting with Tesla, and that Tesla is absolutely committed to bringing more superchargers into Western Australia, well, into Australia in general and Western Australia specifically, and that quite a number of new locations will be added within the next 18 months. So, and then I sort of said very clearly that I'm not at liberty to discuss any of the locations, but there are numerous of them. And yeah, it looks like you've pulled one straight out. That's awesome. When was this? Oh, this is 19th of June. So this is very new.
Yeah, in the last month. Yeah, so not knowing the area, I sort of looked at. I noticed Lehman and Greenhead were north of Lansdowne on the same highway. So I'm thinking that would probably be a good spot for one. Do you think, without saying anything that you can't say? That'd be a sensible place to put it, wouldn't it?
I've just got the
as a local West Australia, while Harold is thinking what he can talk about, because he knows as a local West Australian, the Brand Highway goes through there, and that's where that is where Badgingarra services are.
Yeah.
So that would be good, or Greenhead or Lehman.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
I can't comment. Look, there's obviously quite a few towns around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From I know nothing, and so I can speak from a West Australian that travels there. Hopefully, you'd hope that it would be on where it says Wedging Garage. There is Iniaba services there, so
Yeah.
that's on the main highway north, which would be fantastic. But likewise, the main internal road that would be actually the first one ever. So there are three great places there. Coastal, yeah,
oh, just here. Oh,
which is
gotcha.
there. Yeah, if you zoom in there, that's Badgingarra, where the crew are right there is the roadhouse, the Badgingarra Roadhouse.
Yep. Okay, so I mean, I'm obviously in a difficult situation, but just keep looking, Chuck. The truth
We'd be very happy, Chuck, if it was on any of those three roads that pass through that shire. They're all good.
Yeah.
Yes, except for the one that goes to Minu. I mean, that's really a side, past Mora. That's look, and anyone would realise that's unlikely.
Yeah.
But I can't even go anywhere with whether it's this road or this road.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right onto it, Chuck. So, well, in fact, actually, now I'll be looking myself as soon as I get something that's properly documented. I don't know whether. Was that the minutes? Was that document you just put up?
Yeah, it was the minutes.
That was just a newsletter, and it linked to the minutes, but the minutes had the same detail. It didn't have any further detail in it.
Oh, you sure?
So
okay, so there's nothing at all in the actual minutes themselves to have a more specific, or in submissions to the minutes.
No, because it was all in closed council because there was a lease agreement being discussed, and probably financials are all allowed to be discussed in closed session, but they didn't even mention the location. So
that's a shame. Yeah, unless we could ring the Shire and ask them. I mean, not me, but someone else. Can ring the Shire.
I did send them an email today.
Oh, cool.
And when the reply came back, I thought, oh, this will be good. Said, thanks for email. I forwarded it to our chief executive officer in hopes to get you some sort of response soon. So does the CEO of the council really need to get involved in answering this question? I would think they'd have a staff member who could do it, but oh well.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Look, do play. Well, hopefully you'll get a reply, and then you can share it with us, so that then I
have a look in the chat.
Then you don't have to dodge questions.
Yes.
Have a look at the chat. Have a look in the chat.
All I've got's Chuck's. Oh no,
it's up now.
Here we go, and the chat.
It just says it's confidence. They couldn't put it up because of things, but
would reveal a trade secret or information commercial value. But
the land, the lease.
Yeah, so they're not going to divulge it yet, but that's cool. I mean, in the fullness, we'll put it this way: we'll know in less than 18 months' time. So,
such a short time.
Well, you know what? It's funny because longer than 18 months ago, we were contemplating what was the promised rollout of the WAV network. And, we are one charger away from all the synergy stuff being finished. I don't know if you heard it before, Chuck, but the Manila charger location is unofficially open. So it's open to people with ChargeFox RFID cards. It's not on the ChargeFox app yet. But it will presumably go on the app very soon. So there is progress. So time does pass rather quickly in hindsight. So
that's it.
If they will come. But geez, props to you, Chuck, for ferreting that out. That's really good. And I'll report to us.
I've just got a shortcut which searches all the gov.au domains and searches for certain keywords and excludes certain things that come up all the time that are redundant and things like that. So I just found a search that worked and saved it, and I just have a look occasionally.
Yeah, cool. Oh, well, maybe you should look a bit more often because pro tip, there's quite a few sites coming up in the next 18 months. So,
Yeah.
uh, and look, I dare
Hopefully,
say, once someone reveals, once it's official where this site is, yeah, that'll be pretty cool.
yeah, yeah. If the others are on council land, they'll be more likely to appear in council documents. I guess when it's a private land, it's less likely that there'll be anything on there.
Yeah, and I dare say, and this is not with any secret knowledge or anything, you're dead right. I'd say that that's probably more likely in regional areas
Yeah,
because really there is no private land in regional areas that would be suitable. Like, should I say, there'd be no major shopping centres such as, in Coogee, it
yeah,
was in a shopping centre, um, and in Treendale, Eton,
Eaton.
Margaret,
yeah,
they were sort of quite well hidden because particularly the Margaret River site, that didn't need council approval because it was within the envelope of the shopping centre. So it was effectively hidden from view. So it just
yeah,
popped up. But yeah, I do dare say if they're regional sites, I mean, we know, for example, that Southern Cross is promised. And I think on Tesla's rollout map, it says by the end of 2025. So
yeah.
that's an official statement by Tesla. You can bet London to a brick that that's going to be a council location. In fact, I actually think the location ought to be where the WAV network is. So, that would make perfect sense for it to be that place. So yeah, cool. Keep Chuck and put me out of my secret squirrel.
That's right. I'm in the same situation because I work for the power distribution company here. I see things and I want to tell people, but I can't tell people.
Yep.
But
It's a burden,
yeah.
but hey, it's okay.
Yes.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, Mark, you've got your hand up patiently.
Yeah, g'day all. And great news. Thanks, Chuck, for bringing that. And especially you've got that must be one hell of a search you got. The little bit of news I've just spotted on X is a tweet that's come from the driven.io. It appears, and we've got 3 sites here in Perth, I believe, of EV networks, is that they're going to start trialing direct plug-in billing, just like we have with Tesla superchargers. And it looks like they've got billing details of their customers. When you plug your car in, it automatically associates the car with the customer ID. So it'll eliminate the cards and the RFID tags in time. I don't know if you've seen it. It was tweeted about 2 hours ago by the Driven.
Let me just go onto the Driven's website and see if here we go. So
let's hope to incorporate idle fees because that's one of the things that the EV chargers don't seem to do as yet, as many others don't.
So I can't speed read, but does this basically also does it exclude Tesla? It does. It is
I think
15.
it's just everything, but it's along the same lines. So you just plug in and it just recognizes it and associates your customer ID with the car. Look, it's not Tesla, but it's good to see that other companies are starting to go down that same path.
Yeah, there was a really good article on zecar.com where they listed the cars that weren't supported, and there was like a really small number of them. It was all Chatamo cars. There was the Mazda MX-30, there was the Cupra Born, the Rolls-Royce Spectre, I think. So a really small number of cars, but all the main ones, Tesla, Hyundai, Kia, all that kind of stuff, they were all supported. And they listed the stations it would work with. The ones with the PK350s and the RT50s won't be supported, but all the rest will. So the 75s, the 150s, and so on will.
But so the old RTs, that's the old tritiums that not many of those are still alive because
no, that's true.
sites are just those RTs that have
Yeah.
fallen out. In fact, here's a little interesting factoid that I found out. The half-life of the element tritium is about 12 years. I think the half-life of a tritium charger is probably about 12 months. So perhaps it was an interestingly chosen name that portend the future of that company being radioactive. Yeah, that's good to know, Chuck. So Teslas are in. I presume you would have to have already used your car with a card.
Yeah.
Then I don't know whether you opt or
They said
does it.
so long as you have at least one session on a compatible charger since June the 1st.
Yeah, so you'd have to have a customer ID that would be known to them.
Yeah.
Yes. And then so
Just the
presumably
lead, hang on.
you then plug in, and rather than having to badge your card, it would just start charging because it knows
Yep.
who you are. I guess,
Yep.
of course, something to be something to be aware of is when you dispose of that car, I presume if you go to the EV login page, there might be a way of disconnecting your car from that account, like deleting it, perhaps, because I would presume that would have to be a thing because people buy and sell cars. So
Yeah.
you certainly
Or
wouldn't
there
want
could
to.
be where you lend your car to someone else, or you rent it out, or you share it through a car sharing platform. So, yeah.
Yeah, that could be a bit complicated, couldn't it? Because then a renter might have an EV RFID card, use it, and then you could gain it back, Pete, and then you could be all capo and just keep charging up that car for free at the expense of your renter.
Well, I can already charge an EV for free, but
Oh, you can't.
all the other
No, you
rent.
can't. You paid for that, Pete. You absolutely paid for it. Because when something is provided for free, someone else is paying for it. And trust me, you've paid for it in the interest on the lease. So nothing's for free. But yeah, that's interesting. I mean, look, and again, I didn't want to criticize it. It's just these are little minutiae. If you sell your car and you've got an EV account, clearly there'll have to be a mechanism to delete that car from the account. And I'm sure they've probably already got that on their account. Actually, Pete, that's something that you should try on your car. Just not use your card or one of your cars, sorry, and see what happens.
Well, I never used the card. I just used the app.
Well,
So,
don't
but
use
yeah,
the app. Just plug it in.
try it. App, yeah. In WA, we've got the RTM 75s on the 3 EV sites. Is that correct?
Yes, and they're compatible.
So those, right?
Yeah, I think Chuck, you were saying that it's the PK 350s and the RT 50s are not compatible.
Yeah.
All the rest are.
That's right. Yeah, I posted a little screen capture in the chat there. Yeah, so all the 75s and all the 150s are okay.
That's good.
Which are pretty much the ones that pretty much anything they've installed in the last year or two.
So the RTMs, just for completeness, I'll just sorry, the PK 350s, there aren't many in WA, and most of them are broken. So oh yeah, it's got no. Oh, where is it? No, that's in Bunbury. Sorry about this. I just have to go a bit lower down. It's in Treendale, actually. So, unsurprisingly, it's got a spanner on it. That's because it's under repair, because this awesome charger has been vandalized, and it will take, I think according to ChargeFox, the parts have been on order and won't come until September. So that charger looks like this, which is quite beefy and chunky. That's the PK 350. And then the RT, if we just go to the Coburn, where's the Coburn?
Just look for any location. Look for any location with this banner. It'll probably be an RT50.
It's actually missing. Casuarina, Kwinana.
Yeah, I saw Coburg just a bit north and there was nothing there.
It's gone. Oh, maybe they've gotten rid of it because it was useless. Anyway, let's look at another one that's got a spanner. Look, this one will work. This one, I think that's an old RT. So the old RTs look like this. So they've got sort of the sculpted sort of curvy, and it's actually narrower. It's got a narrow legs, and that's the old RT50. So those are the ones that are not compatible. But it's okay because they're usually the ones that aren't working anyway. And I wish that was a joke, but it's not. Well, it is a joke, but it's not a happy joke. Alrighty. Any other questions or comments?
There's a new update coming, a new software update, 2024.26, which is going to have quite a few pretty cool new features, including, so we're talking about preconditioning a car before. So it will allow you to schedule preconditioning. You'll be able to see the weather and the air quality on your UI as you're driving. One that caught my eye is parental controls, or teenager mode, as some people call it. Just really disappointed because I think it's a missed opportunity. So basically what you'll be able to do is lock the car into chill mode via a PIN code. You'll be able to put a curfew on that car. You'll be able to set a speed limit, maximum speed limit, and do a few other things. Which is great, but yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity. I think they should have had guest mode, where you're basically able to do that with a car that you lend to someone, or you hire out, rent out, or you share through a car sharing platform. So, you know, things like when I share my car, everyone can see my YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus viewing history. They can see the email that I use to log into that account. I already mentioned the service that they can see through the app. So there's a lot of things like that it should lock out in guest mode, but hopefully we'll get that at some point in the future. But yeah, really and there's sub destinations as well in the nav. So you'll be able to, rather than just navigating to the airport, you'll be able to perhaps choose a terminal number or a letter of the car park, etc. So just more granular destinations.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good feature because it can be quite stressful. For example, to look at a terminal number, well, you'll know the terminal number, but you're not necessarily familiar with which end of that airport or terminal it is at. And if you can do that, something I really wish Tesla would do was to have precision navigation, particularly within urban supercharger locations,
Absolutely.
such as, current up shops, because there are two separate car parks and they're not connected. And you can waste a lot of time if you don't precisely know where the supercharger is, or unless you've sort of, bumped into it because you were doing something else or whatever. There's nothing more stressful, particularly when you're a complete stranger to a city, to not have precision guidance. And you'd really want precision down to the turn left in 5 meters, because there'll be, like a left lane or inside the actual building, because obviously GPS isn't that great. And some of these superchargers over east, I've seen that they have actually the Coburn one, I think, has little signs, which is quite handy. It has a little red T sign with an arrow at each turn, but unfortunately not all sites are like that. And
you mean?
Sorry? Oh, sorry, I mean Coogee. Sorry, not Coburn, Coogee. Yeah, Coogee site has got little Tesla signs, which is cool.
It does from both ends, irrespective of which entrance you use of the car park. Both ends have got arrows, which is great.
Are there two entrances at Coogee? I thought there was just the one.
Yeah, there are. There's one from the ocean side and one from the other eastern end.
Oh, right. Wow. I always went on the ocean side. Anyway, there you go. So, yeah, cool. Thanks, Pete. All right. Has anyone else got any other questions?
Yes,
Oh,
Harold.
yes.
Hi. You know, some of the old apartment blocks, could chargers be installed, or is there or do you need extra power?
It's a big problem, and it's a problem that hasn't really been addressed. Obviously, there's regulations now for new apartment blocks that are obliged to have some form of provision for some car charging. But on the old ones, there's zero obligation, zero anything. And it's at the whim of the Strata company. And I happen to know personally of a lady living in the city of Joondalup who is in a smaller Strata development, pre-existing one, where they refused to even allow her at her own expense to have a 10 amp power point, a general purpose outlet installed at her car parking bay.
Yeah.
And they just simply refused.
And
So
I know they're horrible. And a normal power point, how many amps is that?
That's 10 amps.
10 amps.
It'll put in excess of 120 kilometers of range into a Tesla overnight.
Oh,
which
that's not a lot, yeah.
that's actually quite a lot. I mean, you know, if you turn up empty and the next morning you've got to drive to Geraldton,
yeah.
you know, that you're not going to get all of that range.
For
But
everyday use, yeah.
for the average use of 38 kilometers on average per day, that's what the average West Australian car does.
Yep.
It's more than enough for the vast majority of cases. Is just a single phase 10 amp outlet.
Okay.
Now, of course, if you're providing so go on.
So how would you calculate if they want to charge you electricity and they obviously don't have a way of measuring?
So you can just
is there a guideline?
no. So you can just have, as part of the installation, you can also get at your own expense a sub-meter, a power meter installed.
Oh,
so they
you
cost,
get the PowerPoint.
yeah, well, basically, you know, it won't necessarily be at the PowerPoint, but it'll be back at the distribution board that's feeding the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Presuming they have to, you know, you've got to install a new power line or new cabling to that location. They can then install a meter, and the meter, I mean, I only know Fronius sell a meter. It wholesales in the order, it's less than $200 for a single phase meter. And then, you know, that could just be, yeah. I mean, ideally, look, if they can provide three-phase power, that would be ideal.
And can you provide, can a three-phase power be provided?
Depends on the capacity of the building. And you go on, Pete, you want to say something?
Just in terms of the sub-meters, so just if the Strata company is to be on charging the tenant for it, it by law has to be what's called a revenue grade meter, a revenue grade sub-meter. So yeah, they are usually, you know, you can find sub-meters for $50, but they're just not going to be legal. But yeah, what Harold's talking about, that's a revenue grade meter. Yeah, when you're spending $200, $300, $400 on a meter, that's usually revenue grade. There is another option though, which is cheapest and you know, the easiest, and that is to just say to the Strata company, well, you know, we have a pool. There's only 10 people out of 100 that use that pool. Do we charge them every time for the maintenance, for the electricity, for using that pool? No, we don't. So, you know, we've got an elevator. Only 40% of people use the elevator. Do we charge those 40 people separately for using that elevator? You could take that same concept to EV charging and say, yes, at the moment, it only benefits some people, but, you know, we don't discriminate like that with the pool, with the elevator, with the, you know, common area lights, etc. So why do it with the chargers? So that's another, it probably won't be that popular, but, you know, so you are the
I'm already not popular.
Yeah. No, see, I think the problem is you're gonna be absorbing about 2.5 kilowatt hours per hour, and so you could easily suck up $1. Well, let's call it $1 an hour. You know, so it is appropriate that the user pays. I mean, it's not like, you know, people ought to be expecting free service because let's face it, there are bigger cars. Other people don't have EVs, you know, all that sort of guff. The biggest challenge is to get them to allow, even at your entire expense, a charging point at all, Pete, because what's not great is where strata companies simply say no, not because it can't be done. They simply say no because
philosophical opposition.
They just want to be difficult. They don't like EVs. They don't like you. And even though a strata company by definition is a collective of the owners, because they are the only ones that vote.
Well, they don't actually. It's only the Council of Owners that vote on behalf of the strata company. But they all have strata management. And I happen to, I've sold my home, but I'm here for another 6 months or so. And I bought a little apartment in Hood Street in Subiaco that I can live in while I build another one. So I'm going to be there probably 3 years. And I took the precaution when I bought it to get the car bay backs onto a storeroom. And I took the precaution of shaving the door, making sure that power cord goes under to plug into a PowerPoint. But it's got the worst strata company in the world, I think. And I'm already arguing with them because the Council of Owners is inefficient. They don't do anything and they spend money and they don't check. And it's it's a nightmare.
Is it your storeroom? Was it your storeroom?
Law passed in, I think it was Indianapolis just recently, that made it illegal for the Homeowners Association, which is the equivalent of our strata companies here, to refuse to put charges in.
So where was this, Pete?
I'm pretty sure it was in the state of Indianapolis in the US.
The problem is this is the state of Western Australia and there's no law like that. So
we deregulate it. Strata management is the worst company you can have in the world in Australia because we deregulate it. And so they do whatever they want. And I can tell you that there's not many that run it efficiently. And I'm a real estate agent, so I've come across many of them. There are some reasonable ones, but there's no laws. And Landgate are the regulator, and they don't do anything. And the only way to get any issues with a buyer, a seller, a lessee, or a lessor is to apply to SAT. There's a 2-year waiting list. It is the most horrific situation you can get into in Strata.
So I feel like I've got to jump in and speak for the other half of this conversation because I feel like strata councils are getting a bit of a beating here, and I think a lot of the information is not only untrue but very misleading for people who maybe don't understand how these systems work. Like, for a start, strata companies are a democracy, right? Everyone is entitled to be on the strata council.
No, you're not listening. I'm talking about the strata manager.
Strata managers facilitator. They don't make any decisions or do anything. All they do is pay the bills.
Well, they can manipulate the council, yeah.
So, you know, any owner has the right to be on the strata council and be part of those decision-making processes. So anyone that complains who's an owner that is not on the council then really doesn't have the right to complain. Because if you want to complain, join the council and
Yes,
don't
but they
call
don't
other
let
people
you.
lazy.
And you know what they do? Well, you don't know anything about it, for a start. Secondly, they charged me $10 for a late payment that they hadn't sent an invoice for, so that I was not able to be voted in at a council meeting. So there's lots of things people do. It's not straightforward.
Yeah, look, I don't want to get into an argument, but look, the thing is, like, I own a unit in a 54 unit block, and so that there is the main problems for us is just logistics of getting power around. Like, I mean, most strata companies are run pretty slim on budget. Most people don't have a surplus, and when you're talking about digging up asphalt and running, 50 to 100 meters underground, it's extremely expensive.
No, but the point I was making was at your own expense. So the strata company is at full liberty to say, you know what, if you want power at your parking bay, we will allow you to do that at your whole expense. And if that expense is $10,000, then it's up to the, let's call it the tenant.
I don't think. I mean, look, we've currently got stuff in play to put power, like large conduits in, and get 32 amp 3-phase around the property, so that we can do something around charging, because we've got a lot of young people living in these units. They're mostly single bedroom and 2-bedroom units. A lot of young people, a lot of sort of housemates type arrangements, and a lot of them have got sort of the smaller. We're looking at getting the smaller EVs, so it's important for us to make sure that we facilitate that. And we're looking at putting in a couple of the Tesla chargers, because they're actually a really good solution in terms of cost and flexibility. And look, we've applied to Tesla to get the billing, but I haven't actually received a response. So that's what we're doing. But look, I will. There are many challenges around Strata. There's been a raft of legislation changes recently, and some of the things that are in those legislations changes are you've got to have a 10-year plan. That 10-year plan's got to have any of your sort of larger spending items for the 10 years all planned out. So, electric vehicle charging facilities should be in everyone's 10-year plan. They have to be formally submitted now. So look, I feel like they get strata councils. I'm talking about councils here, because please, people, don't think that the strata company is supposed to do anything, because they're not. They don't make any decisions at all. The decisions are all made by the strata company, which is run by the strata council. The strata management company are just there to pay the bills and facilitate the work of the strata company. But I think I think you get a bit of a tough run. Some of them are very lazy. There's a lot of them have got a lot of very old aged people on there that don't want to spend any money.
The central point I was trying to make was, I personally know of a lady, not Carmen, someone else in the city of Joondalup, who asked if at her own whole expense, entirely her expense, that she could have installed just a GPO at her parking location, and they refused flat out. End of story. That's not a theory, rumor. That's not a.
I think I'd probably refuse, and this is probably going to be a bit controversial, but I think if someone was to ask me for that, I'd probably say no to, and I'd say, look, no, because we can't do that for one person without then setting a precedent where we have to do it for everyone. But we are looking at putting a couple of high capacity chargers in.
Well, none of that was offered.
Some bays.
None of that was offered, and this lady, unfortunately, then had to run the gauntlet of the freeloaders at Joondalup Shopping Centre, who would sit there happily sucking up the free juice because it's free, whereas she actually needed it and was prepared to pay for it. And had she been able to pay for it, it would have been accessible, because nothing is busier than a free charging location, and nothing is lonelier than a paid for charging location.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you that it's a challenging situation, and there's a lot of it's a real issue for me, in that if you do live in an apartment block, it's probably not really ideal for you to be looking at an electric vehicle, which kills me a little bit. But there are challenges.
Is people that own the apartments, and the council owners are, the council members are owners of apartments, it's actually in their best interest to allow EV charging or to do whatever they can to help facilitate it. Reason being is, if for the exact reason that you've just mentioned, if someone's looking to buy an apartment, and when you buy an apartment, you usually don't buy it for 2 or 3 years like Carmen's doing. You're usually buying it for 5, 7, 10 years or longer. No one in their right mind would think that they're not going to have a EV in the next 10 years. So, if there's 2 apartments to choose from, one, you ask the Strata company, do you have EV chargers? Do you have a plan for EV chargers? And they say, no, we've rejected them. And the other apartment building already has EV chargers put in, and they encourage the use of them. Obviously one apartment is worth more to you than another. So
I would agree with you absolutely 100% if we weren't in the real estate market we're in, where like everyone's so desperate to get a rental or a house that those sorts of things don't come into play as much. As like the old swimming pool argument, right? Like if an apartment complex has got a swimming pool, when there's really low demand on apartments, there'll be a much better rate of rental at the swimming pool apartment than there will at the one without, because if you've got the choice, you'll go to the one with the pool. And it will be the same thing with electric vehicles as well. Like any of those sorts of facilities are definitely going to attract buyers and renters. But the unfortunate thing is you can't really use that as leverage at the moment, because we've got such an issue with rentals that everyone's just desperate to get whatever they can get.
That may be true for the market that's looking at buying an EV down the line. But if they've already owned an EV, well, they probably won't even look at an apartment block that doesn't have EV charging. So
yeah, I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Is the shed, is that shed yours, or is that someone else's where the power is?
It's mine.
Oh, it is yours.
Yes.
And it's built.
So you've got a power outlet in your store thingy.
Yes. So I can back the car in, and then put a lead under the door and plug into it, because also it's a little bit more private as well.
That's off your power meter too, because that's your storeroom.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
I bet you the Strata company or the Strata manager or whichever human being it is you're dealing with will probably get you on the safety aspect of having a power cable under a door in a public area.
Yes.
Even though your car backs onto that area, and they'll get you on the health and safety aspect of doing that.
Yes, it's it's just it's all online actually. Their reviews for this particular company are pretty bad. And
so unfortunately, that's the human factors, because a human being is going to get you on a technicality and say, because they would have zero objection to you getting a 2.5 kilowatt bar heater and sticking it into your shed and running it 24/7 on your own meter, and saying, I just like my storeroom toasty warm, winter or summer. But they'll get you on the technicality of they don't like the fact that you've got a power cord running under your door, along to where your car bay is. So unfortunately, Carmen, you're probably going to be stuck, because they'll always pull a safety card on you and say, we believe that might not be safe, and there could be a trip hazard, there could be a rat.
Was that the reason? Was that the reason they gave there? Was it a safety, just out of interest?
No, they haven't given any reason, because I haven't asked. They've doubled the levies in 1 year, doubled, and I've objected, and so now it doesn't matter what I say, it won't go through. But no one can trip, because I can back my car right up to the door, so there's no walkway or anything. So I just want to find out what the facts are about charging, and then I'll try and deal with it. I'll probably sell it otherwise. The trouble is that with the double levies, it's going to make it a lot more difficult.
So have they
do?
Sorry?
I'll just quickly, another thing you could do is, if health and safety is used as an excuse for having a cable running, you could run a exposed conduit and just run the cable through that exposed conduit that you
trip hazard.
not on the ground, wall, along the wall?
Well, I'm right up to the back wall, so it's just a normal car park, but the shed is sort of a foot in front of, or 300 mil from the back of my car. So it wouldn't be a trip hazard, really.
Is it traffic? Is that where people walk? Do they walk along?
No,
Oh,
because you walk through the middle and then you just park either side. So it's just a square. I can send you a little drawing.
well, you should ask them in writing. Are you
Oh yes,
permitted?
oh yes, I do all that. I do all that. But yeah, there is a problem there. It's there's been the same council of owners for 16 years, and they make sure no one else gets in because they like running it the way they want to. And there's just no chance. We're actually dealing with authorities now, but there's
Well,
a few.
That's the classic caveat emptor. You never quite know what you're going to get when you buy into a strata complex. That's why freehold is gold.
I know. And I already know all that through all my experience, but I didn't have the budget for a freehold for a temporary thing. So I thought I'd go that way. I may have to rethink my strategy. But yes, it's a bit sad. But I have heard, I am looking at another apartment block. Well, my sister has one, and my sister is in Crawley, and they're very old. They were 1972 apartments. And I've been told that she wanted to put in an induction top in the kitchen. And they said that they had to get special permission. They actually were very good. This Strata is very good. And they facilitated, but they had to upgrade the electric situation to be able to put an induction cooktop in her kitchen. So that's been done. Whether they can extend that to the garage, I don't know, but it is pretty old. So I hadn't realized that could be a problem.
Yeah, and it is
Can I
going to be a problem with old sites. Sorry, was that you, James?
Yeah, I've got a couple of strata properties. Don't worry about it. You can use your power for anything that you want. However, they will get you for the same. Any strata, as you should know, is treated as a work site.
Yep.
So slips, trips, and those types of things will be treated as a work site. So in essence, you should have power cables not on the floor. However, if you can demonstrate it is not a trafficable area, no problem. So if you can back up, and but I wouldn't worry.
To the wall, just like you do to the Tesla charger in Karrinyup, you back right up. And
as Saxon says, you're dealing with the people of the council of owners. They'll complain to the strata management, who will then say something. All you need to say is, "Can you please send me the bylaws pertaining to this?"
They don't.
And they don't. So you don't have to do anything until that point. All they'll try to, if they're really bad, they try to say, "This is a workspace. You can't have cables on the floor." And
it won't be on the floor because there is a step up to the shed.
No, but I'm just saying, what on a work site, if you ever go walking on work sites, I've got little poles where they hold them off the cable. But don't worry about that, because all we have to do is prove it's not or show it's not a work site, and that will literally take 6 months. By the time they say, "Oh, can you please get that written into the actual bylaws so we can clarify that?"
And also,
but also, if I could just finish as well, there's currently the Strata Association of Australia is looking at changing the law so that stratas cannot, cannot impede owners at their own costs from installing EV chargers, but that's 12 months down the track before it gets put in. However, like my strata places are very small. If you're in a big complex with 40, you've still got a problem because your place is easy because all you have to do is update your electrics to your cupboard. But if you've got a multi-story building with a multi-story car park, you can just imagine what it costs to try and get a power point.
It's only 18 apartments and 3-story. So it's not big. But also my car hasn't got a lithium battery, has it, Harold? It's
it does.
It does.
Don't let them pull that on you either. Your car is completely compliant to all of the Australian design rules, and at present there is nothing in legislation anywhere in Australia barring your car from being charged anywhere on Earth. So they an individual may then try and claim, well, we're not comfortable with your car potentially catching on fire while it's being charged. So that is not a thing. That is not a legislated concern.
In fact, Carmen, you can point to this WA state government's position statement on EV charging. And in that position statement, it has a section on residential dwellings, including apartments. And it actually has a recommendation to put in charges. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it says they recommend one level 1 charger, which is basically a 10 amp, power socket for each car bay. So that's the recommendation. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, just Google WA state government position statement on it.
I'm sure that some in reasonable stratas like the one my sister has would work, but they actually changed the bylaws to stop me from doing something that they thought I was doing, which I wasn't. And they didn't confer. They don't confer with all the owners. This group just decide whatever they want.
You can't actually do that. Like most bylaws are by dissent, right? So if you get one person that says they're not happy with it, they can't go forward.
Yeah, but
so
if you don't know they're doing it, how can you?
Yeah, well, because you can go and get a copy of the bylaws from Landgate, and you can take that to SAT and say,
yeah, but I've got to go to SAT. That's the problem.
Yeah, I've been to SAT 3 times though, and it's never been a big issue. Personally,
Someone has said that be a way to get in.
Oh, I don't know about that. Like I've never had to wait more than a couple of months.
But also,
but it might be different now.
Bylaws can only be changed at the AGM, and they have to have notice given to all owners.
No, they
didn't.
didn't.
And you've got they're not legally binding then basically, if that's the case. And you've got 30 days after an AGM to object, and even if they've been passed at the AGM, within that 30-day period, someone objects to a bylaw, then it can't go forward. So
argument change at AGM, notice must be given, and you've got time to appeal, and one person appeals, it has to be stopped.
And then they've got to be submitted within 90 days, or they're not legally binding.
Okay,
which I found out the hard way. I just will say one other thing, sorry, Harold, but that is that look, SAT and
close in 2 minutes.
Oh, okay, I'll be really quick. SAT and all that stuff works both ways, right? So if they're telling you can't do something, the only way they can enforce that is via SAT. So they've got the same challenge you have in terms of enforcement.
Just be prepared. Don't do anything special. Don't do anything out of the ordinary. Make sure your charging cable's put away. Make sure no one can trip over it, so you can take that out of the thing, and have a letter ready to say, you've recently undergone back surgery and it's impinging on you. You're being, you have a disability or a illness, and they are infringing on that, and that will just stop everything dead for like 6 months while they figure out what to do.
And take a photo of your charging setup so you can prove not a.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's actually quite safe. I want it to be safe. I mean, I don't want it to. I don't want to create any issue. We're at the moment. I've talked to Landgate and Consumer Protection, and they can't enforce anything. You have to go to the SAT, and it's just a major hassle.
Okay, unfortunately, on that SAT note, we're going to have to wrap this show up because we've got less than 60 seconds to go before my time limit. So, Pete, how would you take out a vigorous show such as this tonight?
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, stay vigorous, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, make a booking at the SAT, join TOCWA, and ask us anything about transition.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you.
Have a fantastic week, everyone, and I really do look forward to seeing you all on next week's episode of Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.